Today we'll be going over the top 5 movies that will come out in 2021. Let's get into the video. Eternals. In the wake of the massive Infinity Saga and its conclusion in Avengers Endgame, the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it is about to undergo some major changes. Yeah, familiar characters will remain, but they won't be alone for long. New heroes are on the horizon, including the first all-new superhero team in the MCU since the Guardians of the Galaxy debuted in 2014. Get ready for the Eternals. Based on the Marvel Comics team of the same name, created by the great Jack Kirby, Eternals will follow a near-immortal race of beings who have secretly lived on Earth for thousands of years. Following some kind of unexpected tragedy in the wake of Endgame, they will be forced out of hiding and back into the ages-long battle against the ancient enemy known as the Deviants.
His call sign's Taskmaster.
We're family. We fight with you.
I should have come back for you.
How many others are there? Enough.
A Quiet Place Part 2. After the success of A Quiet Place in 2018, it seemed almost inevitable that a sequel would eventually follow. After all, the film ended in a perfect position to set up the next chapter of the story, and there was clearly fan demand for a continuation. By 2019, writer-director John Krasinski was back on board to make the sequel, and A Quiet Place 2 is on track to arrive in theaters in the spring of 2020. The second chapter of the saga will serve two purposes. Based on the trailers of the film, on one hand, it will follow the surviving members of the Abbott family as they attempt to venture out beyond their farm, newborn baby in tow. After the first movie ended with the discovery of how to fight the sound-hunting creatures, on the other hand, the story will flash back to show us at least a little more of what happened the day the world started to fall apart, which will allow us to see more of Krasinski's character, Lee, becoming a survivor and a leader of his family in the early days of the crisis. Morbius. While Spider-Man has spent the last few years hanging out with the Avengers over in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the film rights to all the web-slinger supporting characters remain at Sony Pictures, who have been hard at work on their own shared universe of Spidey-adjacent heroes and villains. After Venom became a box office hit in 2018, that effort was stepped up, and in the spring of 2021, we'll see the next chapter with Morbius. Jared Leto stars as Michael Morbius, the first live-action version of the living vampire from the pages of Marvel Comics. As he searches for a cure for a rare blood disease that could kill him, Morbius accidentally alters his own biological makeup and gives himself a kind of vampirism, which also grants him superhuman abilities. The first trailer for the film leaned heavily into the darker aspects of the Morbius story, but also teased that Michael Keaton will make some kind of appearance as Adrian Toomes, his character from Spider-Man: Homecoming. Spiral from the Book of Saw. The Saw franchise has proven to be one of the most enduring horror series of the 21st century, in part because its creators just keep coming up with new and inventive ways to kill people. Still, even the standards of the era need a refresher from time to time, and that's apparently what we're going to get from Spiral. While the film will feature returning franchise talent like frequent Saw sequel director Darren Lynn Bousman, Spiral is noteworthy in no part because it features a legendary comedian, Chris Rock, stepping into the horror genre. As both star and producer tell a story about a brash detective and a veteran police sergeant who get wrapped up in a series of murders. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We've heard rumblings for some time on Marvel Studios' plans to launch a film starring its first ever Asian superhero, and at the San Diego Comic-Con 2019, we got confirmation. On May 7, 2021, we'll see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a superhero epic with a kung fu edge. Chinese-Canadian actor Simu Liu has landed a title role of Marvel's Master of Kung Fu in the film, which will also star Awkwafina, in a still undisclosed role. Perhaps the biggest surprise regarding this announcement came when it was time to reveal the villain. Back in Iron Man 3, Marvel Studios seemed to introduce classic comic villain the Mandarin, only to then reveal the Mandarin of that film was an actor playing a role as part of a distraction for the real villain of the piece. As has long been hinted in the MCU, the real Mandarin is out there, waiting for his day, and apparently his time has come. The Mandarin will make his genuine MCU debut in this film and will be played by legendary Chinese actor Tony Leung.